Windsor, Ontario is an honest, hardworking town, and if you want to make it here as a brewery, you better brew an honest beer to serve them. Small-scale craft breweries are popping up all over Canada to help satisfy our thirst for locally brewed beer. I'm Angela Bell, and I'm drinking my way across Canada, one craft brewery at a time. I'm looking for real folks that are making real beer. This is Crafted in Canada. Windsor first started drinking beer from Walkerville Brewery more than 130 years ago when Hiram Walker started the brewery to run alongside his popular distillery in 1885. The times and owners have changed, but the character of this brewery remains the same. This is Ian, and he's one of the people responsible for making sure Walkerville Brewery lives up to its name.
This whole area of Walkerville is it's associated with Hiram Walker, and the brewery, as I say, can trace itself back to the time when Hiram Walker, started it. So it's been open and closed many times since then, right through Prohibition, right to today. So this is the most modern, if you like, incarnation of the Walkerville Brewery, and it still sits here in an ex-Hiram Walker building.
Hiram Walker set out to make an honest beer for his employees and customers. That meant three things: using high-quality raw materials, time-honored brewing practices, and providing good value.
We can't recreate what he did. I mean, I wouldn't even claim to do that. But what we can do is use the best raw materials, brew it in the best way we can, and give good value. And also the brewery itself, Walkerville Brewery, we pride ourselves primarily on being a community brewery. So we're sitting in the Walkerville, Windsor area, and we have a great building, and we use that to be clearly a community brewery.
Today, Walkerville has a broad range of craft beers that they offer their customers. From the flagship Honest Lager to a traditional IPA, some specialty beers, and imperial stouts on the extra dark side. They produce something that suits practically any taste. I love the Honest Lager and a fresh purity Pilsner that came right off the line.
We kind of like the idea, and our customers, I think, like the idea of the fact that we have a range of beers, and our brewers like doing a range of beers. I mean, the beauty of craft beer is you can take some risks. You can come up with some ideas and translate them into a final beer. And we like experimenting.
I started today's flight with the Honest Lager. It's a local favorite, and it's easy to see why. They take great care to make the lager crisp and refreshing while carrying a bit more flavor than your typical big batch lager.
The difference, in my view, in making a good lager and a not so good lager is, apart from the raw materials and the patience in making it, is the time. So we don't cut any corners in the time it takes to ferment and condition our beers, and you can sense that and taste that in the beer itself.
I drank my way through some of Walkerville's stronger brews, including Geronimo, a nice twist on the traditional American-style IPA that is infused with some grapefruit, orange peel, and has a piney, dry-hopped aroma. Rumor has it that Geronimo is named after a bootlegging ship that was lost in a storm but drifted back to Canada during the Prohibition years. The Walkerville folks have introduced thousands of beer drinkers to the difference between locally brewed, fresh beer and the pasteurized stuff you typically get from the big brewers. Their lagers and pilsners are great introduction points for drinkers new to the craft scene like me. As your taste buds develop, you start to appreciate the stronger beers more.
There's a significant difference, in my opinion, between craft beer and beers from big brewers. And the reason for that is the way we brew it, and the fact that the beer should be fresh. It should be, freshly brewed, freshly packaged, and available to you.
I love the atmosphere in the Walkerville tasting room. Even as a newbie to craft beer, I wasn't intimidated by the wide selection of beer. Ian helped me to zero in on a flight that took me from my comfort zone into some bolder flavors.
I would say experiment with beers. Start where you feel you're comfortable starting, and if that is in a familiar path from what you've been drinking, that's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Do that, start that way, and then broaden your experience, because there's just a huge range.
If you're not sure what to order when you go into a craft brewery, don't be afraid to ask for some advice. Try a flight. Maybe you might find a new beer that you love too.